Thank you for coming back to my channel. I just want to remind you, if you like this kind of video, please give us a like. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do that as well. That helps us to grow and reach more people. And also, you might want to hit that notification bell so that when we put new videos out, you get notified by that. I usually put a video out every Sunday, but occasionally I will sneak another one in when you're not looking. So you don't want to miss that. So please give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thanks a lot. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mark Clements Postcards. It is Sunday, and it is again time to take a look at what sold over the past week. Lucy and Ellie send along their greetings to you. And if you enjoy watching an old fat guy talk about postcards that he sold, then you have come to the right place. So let me get started and do just that. If we take a look at what sold for the week, it was a little bit of a slow week here. We have those from time to time. You can see I sold $504.16 worth of little pieces of paper. I sold 65 items, and my average sale price was $7.76. That's very patriotic. If we put a 1 in front of that, it would be the centennial or bicentennial, whatever that was that we celebrated. So, as I said, bit of a slow week. Always like to see it do better, but I don't always control that. So, I will accept what I am given and be happy with that. Now, let's take a look at what makes up those numbers. First item up for bid on The Price is Right. We have a laminated reproduction postcard of a view in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, my hometown right here. This is a view looking toward Seton Hill College, and this originally was a real photo postcard. As maybe some of you are new to my channel, you don't know this. This is a reproduction card. It was made from an actual postcard that was taken and was copied, and in some cases enlarged, and then it was laminated on both sides, and that is what this is. I have about 1,500 of these of various things, not all listed on eBay yet, but I hope to get them up there eventually. And this is one of them. Looking at the quantity here, I see I still have one more of this exact view, but this one sold for $5.95. These are very nice for framing. You don't have to even put a piece of glass in. This is laminated, so it's a wipeable, washable surface. You can put it in a frame and hang it up, or just stick it in your collection. Next item. We have a view in Northeast Pennsylvania. Not just the geographic area, but an actual town called Northeast Pennsylvania. This is a view in the vineyard of George Blaine. And we can see people here working in there, picking. What do you think they're picking? Probably grapes, I would guess, right? That's what you have in a vineyard. And I don't know who George Blaine is, but he owned a vineyard, and there it is. This card is a divided back card. You can see it was postally used. I can't quite make out the year there, but this card sold for $8.95. Here we have a view in Lodi, Ohio. This is the hospital. This is sometimes it's tricky to pin down the exact era of a card because it's in that transition period between different ones. I would say this is in the transition period between a linen and a chrome era card. And I could be right. I could be wrong. I don't know. Tell me what you think. But this is the hospital. I believe this is one of the cards I picked up just recently at the I-76 Antique Mall. And let's see, that is listed for $7.95. I believe I took an offer of $7 for that one. Then we have the Singing Sammies. This is a World War I era military postcard. Here you see a group of soldiers. Fellow in the middle is playing the piano, and they are singers, apparently. And I was a little curious about the name Singing Sammies, and all I could really find on that was that they got the nickname from Uncle Sam, possibly. And the source I read wasn't even sure if that was accurate, but that kind of makes sense. So this is a World War I. It's a white border card. As you can see, it was postally used. And that card sold for $4.95. Here we have a view at Canadota Lake Park in Pennsylvania, which is an amusement type park. Here you see the Canadota Gem paddle boat on the lake or on the water here. If we zoom in a little bit, there's the paddle boat, and you can see in the background some more amusement type things back there. And this is a Chrome era card, postally unused, that sold for $7.95. This is a view in Spartanburg, South Carolina. This is a view of the City Hall, another white border card. It was posted in 1918. And as you look at this card, it looks a little bit beat up and dirty around the edges. My scanner has the ability to take a card and make it look worse than it actually is. In real life, this card looks a little better than this. It just seems to accent the defects and the flaws. This foxing around the edges isn't quite as bad as it looks in the scan. But anyway, this card sold for $5.95. Next up, we have a view in the Vice President's office of the Merchants National Bank in Los Angeles, California. This is a divided back era card. See, it was posted in 1915. That's an interesting back that it has this lamp or whatever this is, lamp post on the back. And ordinarily, I look at a view like this and I think that's not really that interesting. Who would want that? But see, it's not a good idea to step in and decide what you think people would want. It's up to them. So I listed it, and by golly, it sold for $4.95. Here we have, I don't know why all these, when I click on them, they're up here, because when I opened them, I centered it better, but they keep moving when I'm not watching. This is a view in San Pedro, California. This is the U.S. Post Office. Here we have a Chrome era card. It is postally unused. And looks like a nice day there in San Pedro. Here you see some old cars parked along the curb. And that card sold for $4.95. Next up, we have a view here in my hometown, again, of Greensburg. This is Main Street looking north. In 1910, this is a divided back card that was posted in 1910. So obviously, this card was made at least that at that time, and certainly a little older than that. And it's a busy day in town, and you can see some horse-drawn wagons there. And the trolley tracks that ran down the center of the street. That view sold for $5.95. Here is a Continental era card. This is a view at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. This is the Sky Wheel at night. So it's kind of the Sky Wheel is kind of a double Ferris wheel type thing. And that card was, let's see, I don't see a postmark on it, although it has writing and an address. Could have been mailed, stamp might have fallen off, I would suspect, though, it just was never mailed. There's a note on the back dated 1974. And again, Continental era card, which I don't sell a lot of, but certain ones do sell, and ones from amusement parks seem to be popular, as this one is. This one sold for $4.95. Here we have an interesting card. This is a view of the Rio Motor Car Company main office building in Lansing, Michigan. This is a white border card. It is unused. I looked up the Rio. I have heard of Rio automobiles before, but they were in business from 1905 to 1975. They made cars and buses and trucks. And I think I've probably seen a Rio truck, but I don't know if I ever saw a Rio automobile. But nonetheless, I thought this was an interesting card. Don't know that I've ever seen it before. I have it listed for $8.95, and I took an offer of $7.95. Here is an interesting card. I was a little reluctant to list this. This is a view in Bardstown, Kentucky. It says, "My old Kentucky home state shrine, 1969. It is a chrome era card, as I said, date or postmark there, 1969. And on the front here, you can see it is a minstrel show. And we have some performers in blackface, which is a sensitive topic, obviously. And I'm a little leery of things like this when I list them on eBay. And but I listed it nonetheless and tried to use non-provocative language. And maybe the person who bought it will be surprised when they get it. But just to make a comment about this kind of card, I don't, when you have a card like this and you present it for sale, it's not that, at least in my case, I'm not advocating or saying that this type of performance is good or bad. I'm not judging in any way. It's just a historical fact. So I look at it as I'm just presenting a piece of history. And if it interests you enough to buy it and put it in your collection, that is certainly up to you. So I have no judgment about it one way or the other than to say that here is a piece of history, and someone thought it interesting. It sold for $5.95. Here we have what I call a generic greeting. This says, "Greetings from Castleton-on-Hudson, New York." And up until recently, I wouldn't have even listed a card like this. But I've been watching some other sellers talk about what they've sold. Apparently, sometimes these can go for really good money. Normally, I would just have tossed these in my quarter box or a large lot of cards and sold it off without giving it another look. It is a generic view. I doubt very much that this is anywhere near Castleton-on-Hudson, Ohio. It's just a view that a postcard publisher took and put greetings from Castleton. It could be any town down here. And so I really didn't think collectors had any interest in this kind of card, but apparently they do. So even though I am old, I have learned something new. And so you can always learn something new. Don't ever think you know it all, because especially when it comes to postcards, nobody knows it all. There's just way too many of them out there. So I listed this card for $9.95, and I took an offer, I believe, of $8. So to me, that is fantastic that a card like this would have that much interest in somebody would be willing to pay $8 for it. That's pretty cool. So keep an eye out for these generic type greetings that say greetings from whoever, and just have these kind of scenes because people do buy them. Okay, enough of that one. Moving on. Here is a lot of 100 cards. I do sell a lot of lots, so lots of lots. This is a lot of 100 holiday greeting, romance, humor type cards. It's your basically greetings and holidays. Here you see a card for good luck. Here's an Easter card. There's a birthday wishes. We have To My Valentine with a Cupid there. This is just good fortune, and it has that symbol on it that you can see. Talk again, sensitive topics, but that is a good luck symbol. Actually, that's the origin of it. Then we have Easter greetings, a little girl popping out of an egg there. We got a patriotic view. This is probably, what's it say, Memorial Day, yes. Here we have To My Mother, Prosperous New Year, To Greet You, birthday wishes, Happy New Year, Valentine thoughts, Valentine greetings. So you can see it's just an assortment of cards with holiday and greeting themes. And these are cards that I normally would not take the time to list individually. There certainly are holiday and greeting cards that are worth listing individually, but these would not fit in that category, at least not for me. So I put them in lots, and I find that people like to buy. These would be great for a reseller to resell. You can certainly charge a couple bucks a piece for these and make yourself some money. This lot I started at $9.95. It got 4 bids, and it ended at $15.50 plus shipping. We're going to run across a couple of these as we go through here. Next up is another lot of vintage holiday cards. Again, you can see this looks like an Easter type card with some chicks. There's a Valentine, birthday greetings, a 4th of July, Happy New Year, Thanksgiving greetings, Happy New Year, Easter, Prosperous New Year, Easter again, birthday greetings, and hearty greetings. That's just kind of a general greeting, so you get the idea. Just your general holiday greeting type mix. This one, again, started at $9.95. This particular lot got 7 bids and ended at $22.50 plus shipping. So, again, nice for resellers because there's certainly some nice cards in here that you can charge a couple bucks for and make some money on a lot like this. Next up, we have not a postcard, but we have a Victorian era trade card. You see the little girl on here in the winter scene. This card is for Lion Coffee, made by the Woolson Spice Company. You can see that on the back. Their logo, I guess, and some advertising concerning that product. And the little girl on the front. This card was listed for $5.95 and it sold for $4.95. Here is another card that I picked up recently at I-76 Antique Mall. You might have seen it if you watched that video. This is a postcard of the American Red Ball Moving Company. This is one of their trucks. It's an advertising card, obviously, for them. I think I found 4 copies of this card. I bought them all, and so far I have sold 2 of them. And this is one of them. I still have 2 left. This card sold for, I believe I took an offer on this. It's listed for $5.95. I think I sold that for $5. Next up, another lot. We have a 100 unused U.S. states, towns, views, and it's a mix of chrome and linen cards. The main thing here is these are all unused, so these are nice for resale, or they're nice for actual use. I do have buyers who like to actually send these cards to friends and family, and they buy them for that purpose. Here in this mix, you can see we have a covered bridge, we have a trolley, there's a view of some buildings in the city, there's a monkey or orangutan, another, this looks like a hotel. We have a view, at Cape May, New Jersey, where somebody whitewater rafting, I guess. And this is obviously the Arch in St. Louis. This is a view in Pittsburgh, at the University of Pittsburgh. Here's a view in Rockefeller Center in New York. Here's a view, not sure where that is, but a nice scenic view. And a waterfall in Watkins Glen. So, like the others, it's a mixture of cards. This one contains about a 50-50 mix of chrome and linen cards. This lot sold for $19.95 with free shipping. That is a very good buy for you resellers. I'm not advertising for myself or anything. Next up is a card. Again, I bought this at the recent Safari to I-76 Antique Mall. This card was kind of a sleeper. When I purchased it, I thought it looked interesting, but as I did a little research, I found that it was an unusual card. I could find no comparable cards to it, and so I listed it for $34.95, and it got one bid and ended at that price, but I'm very happy with that based on what I paid for it. And my research told me that this was in Oregon. And here you see a railroad card with a giant log on it. So it's obviously logging related. And it says Bohemia Railroad Cottage Grove, which is in Oregon. It's a divided back era card, and it's unused. Again, it sold for $34.95. That was one of my better sales over the past week. Next up, we have an actual greeting holiday card that I listed individually. Some of them do warrant that. I thought this was a pretty nice, attractive card. See the lady there with the turkey and the little boy looking up at that. These people are dressed like pilgrims. This is a divided back era card posted in 1910. You can see also that it was embossed. You can see the view on the front coming through here on the back. So a nice Thanksgiving Day card sold for $5.95. Here is a World's Fair related card. Again, typically I don't sell a lot of World's Fair. There were so many of them issued that they're rather common, but this is a little nicer than your typical view. It is a multi-view card with several different attractions displayed there. A linen era card posted in 1939, as you can see on the back there. And that card was listed for $4.95. I took an offer of $4 for that one. Let's see, here we have a view in Warren, Ohio. This is the Waterworks. This is a nice, attractive card. A divided back era, posted in 1909. Looks really nice and clean. Looks like it has sharp edges and corners there. And that is a nice vintage view that sold for $4.95. Here we have another holiday type card that I listed individually. This is, I thought this unusual because it appears to be an angel with a basket of toys, and she's accompanied by a sheep that's carrying a basket of toys. It's a Christmas card, obviously, and I thought this unusual because generally Santa's the one that delivers toys. But I guess when you're delivering toys to the entire world, sometimes you have to subcontract people to give you a hand. And apparently angels give Santa Claus a hand. Don't recall ever seeing one like this before. And so I listed it all by itself. It is well, let's see. It could be white border because it does have a white border. And I can't read the year. It looks like it could be 1912 or 11, so that would make it divided back. And it is embossed. But regardless, it's a pretty nice card. It has a little bit of corner and edge wear there, but all in all, pretty nice shape. I listed it for $14.95, and I took an offer of $13 for that one. So keep an eye out for angels delivering gifts on Christmas. Here's a buyer who bought a couple cards. First up, and they're all from Nebraska. This is a view in Kearney, Nebraska. This is the State Teachers College, the men's hall. So that would be like the men's dormitory, I assume. And then we have a view of the Lily Pond in the city park in Alliance, Nebraska. Excuse me. Postmarked 1952. And lastly, we have the high school in Sidney, Nebraska. That's a divided back card. It's unused. So we have a total of 3 cards purchased by one buyer for a total of $11.90. Here's an interesting item. This is not really a postcard. It's a folding trade card. This is for Swift and Company Meat Packers in Chicago, Ohio. It's a very colorful and artful card. Here you see the interior that says Exhibits of Swift and Company at the Columbian Exposition. So here is a lot of advertising here. So they were at the Columbian Exposition in 1893. And here's a view of their packing houses here. So very nice advertising trade card. And this I had listed for $24.95, and I took an offer of $21.75 plus shipping. Next up, another buyer who bought multiple items. First up, here is a view at the Rainier National Park. It's a view of a waterfall. Here is a view at Yosemite National Park, another waterfall, Bridal Veil Fall. Another view at Yosemite National Park. This is the Three Brothers, which are 3 mountain peaks here. Then we have a lot of cards, of 100 cards, as you've seen a couple times here today. There's a covered bridge. There's Abraham Lincoln. There's some lions, Marineland, a city view, a rural view, airport scene in Miami, Florida. There's a lady diving underwater. There's some bathing beauties running into the water at the beach. There's a view in Oil City, Pennsylvania, a view in Philadelphia. So again, that's a mixture of cards. This is 100 assorted, unused. Again, unused cards, chrome and linen mixture. And that's sold for $19.95. Then let's see, we have still the same buyer. We have another view. This is in Rainier National Park, mountain flowers and white heather. And then they bought another lot of 100 cards. This is 100 assorted, unused. Oh, we have an offer here. I'll come back to that. I'll see you in a minute. 100 assorted, unused. Again, a chrome and linen mixture. Here you see a shoreline scene, I think we've seen this card before, City View. I think that's Pittsburgh. There's a World's Fair view. There's Cape May, New Jersey. There's a building somewhere. There we have some mooses in the water. There's some flamingos. That's no doubt, yes, Hialeah Race Course in Florida. There's a view in Fort Necessity. There's the United Nations. There's those ladies running into the water again. And so on. There's Grant's Tomb in New York City. Columbus State, Ohio State University, Columbus, Ohio. There's some monkeys. So again, it's a view mixture of cards that sold for $19.95. And so we have a total of 6 items purchased by this buyer for a total of $43.90. So that also was a nice sale. They're all nice sales. I shouldn't say that. They're all good. Just some are a little bit more higher in value than others. This is an interesting card. This also, I believe, came from I-76 Antique Mall. I don't know exactly what is going on with this card, other than I know this word at the top here translated to ancient, and we see the Star of David there, so I assumed it to be a Jewish-related card. I am not sure what the scene is portraying here. Here you have a lady holding up a sheaf of something she's got like a shield with the Star of David on it. There's an older couple sitting there, and somebody's plowing. So I don't know exactly what this is portraying. It was, as you can see, it's a foreign-made card, and it was postally used in 1908. I could translate this message, but there was nothing unusual in the message. And all I could guess was that it was Judaica related or Jewish related. So I listed it for $9.95, and it received one bid at $9.95. Here is an aerial view at Lake Zurich, Illinois, of the South Shore Mobile Home Park. So you can see the mobile homes there. That's not a particularly fascinating card to look at, but mobile home parks are a sellable item. This is a Chrome era card. You can see it is unused. That sold for $4.95. Here is a view at Patton, PA. This is Prince Gallitzin State Park, Crooked Run Campground. This is the entrance to the campground. Again, it's not a visually fascinating card, but no doubt somebody is familiar, either lives in Patton, PA, or has been at this campground, and so that has a special meaning to them. Again, Chrome era card, unused, sold for $4.95. Here is a view in Chino, California. Again, pretty sure I bought this at I-76. It is a high school. As I always say, almost everyone has gone to high school, so high schools are a very good topic for postcard sellers. This one is written on, but not actually posted. You can see it's got a little bit of browning, or I don't know if I'd call that foxing, because it's a pretty even, just an aging, yellowing going on there. And you can see at the corners where it was held in the album, it's lighter there. That shows on the front really well, but not so much on the back. So that's a view in Chino, California. That one sold for $7.95. Here is a card I almost threw this in the garbage, but I thought, no, I've never seen it before. It is a view in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, which is just a few minutes away from me here, as a view as seen in 1851. It's an artist's drawing, and you can see there's in 1851, Apparently, Latrobe had not a lot going on. There's a train. There's a couple buildings back there, but it's pretty sparse. That looks like somebody digging a foundation to build somebody on horseback, as it would have been your main mode of transportation in 1851. But it's, just a basic little drawing, and it's in really poor condition. You can see the corner and edge where you can see these heavy creases, and to top it off, it is glued to a piece of cardboard, as you can see here on the back. So condition-wise, it's pretty rough, but I thought it is unusual, and for a Latrobe collector, you probably don't have this in your collection. So I listed it for $4.95, and that's what it sold for. So even cards in poor condition can be of value, and it's all about the subject matter. Next up, we have something that's not a postcard. This says 2 wooden nickels. This was and it's actually wooden. It's very thin and delicate. And you can see on the back, it says, this wooden certificate, a unique souvenir, is issued by Jeanette's 50th birthday committee in commemoration of the golden anniversary of the founding of Jeanette. Jeanette is a small town, again, relatively close to me here, maybe 15 minutes away. This was to celebrate their golden anniversary in 1938. And it says you can actually use this in any store in Jeanette, and you can actually exchange it for money at the bank up until August 27th of 1938. So it says 2 wooden nickels, even though it's just one piece of wood. I guess it's worth 2 nickels or a dime. So I guess technically it's a wooden dime. But no one's ever heard of this, but everyone's heard of wooden nickels. So there's your 2 wooden nickels. I'm sorry to say the expiration date has come and gone, so you can actually cash this in now. But I listed this for $7.95 and took an offer of $6. Here we have a bird's eye view of Williamsburg, Pennsylvania. This is an old divided back view, although it wasn't posted until 1939. But that certainly looks like an old divided back card. It has a heavy horizontal crease here right through the middle, but you can still see a good bit in there. Lots of homes. That looks like probably a school over there. And we got lots of houses. Over here, it looks like we've got a cemetery. So if you're from the Williamsburg, PA area, this would be of interest to you. This card sold for $7.95. Here we have a view in Machias, Maine. This is the post office and custom house. It's a white border card, unused, very nice, clean card in nice condition, sharp edges and corners for the most part. This card was listed for $5.95. I took an offer of $4.50. Main reason being that was like a 25% discount. But if you look up here, this card has been in my store since 2018. That's 6 years. So I thought, well, it's time. It's got an offer. Time to move on. And to be honest with you, I still have cards in my store that go back as far as 2011. And so don't think just because cards have been sitting around a while will never sell. They can still sell. So it makes more sense to leave them sit there than to take them out, because you can't sell a can of beans if you don't put it on the supermarket shelf. It doesn't sell if it's sitting in the warehouse. So don't be afraid to leave cards sit in your store. Next up, we have the visitors reception room at the Anheuser-Busch Company in St. Louis, Missouri. So if you wanted to go visit there, I guess, and maybe taste some beer or whatever you would do there, this is where you would be greeted. This is a divided back era card, postally used in 1911. So that's going back a ways. And that card sold, you can see the Victorian, everybody's got that Victorian era clothing on. And that card sold for $5.95. And I think we just have one more thing. One more card. This is a view of a Cherokee Indian warrior chipping arrowheads in Cherokee, North Carolina. See, it's a chrome view. This is at the, oh Jesus, should I pronounce that name? Oconaluftee Indian Village in Cherokee, North Carolina. Chrome unused. And you can see him making arrowheads here. And that card sold for $4.95. So that was a good sampling of my sales over the past week. And I thank you for watching that. And it's time to take a look at some more cards from my personal collection.
Next, let's continue our journey across Pennsylvania on one of the country's first transcontinental highways, the Lincoln Highway. Sit back and relax as Mark guides us along this historic roadway and points out the many fascinating points of interest along the way. Let's go.
Okay, continuing our journey along the Lincoln Highway in Pennsylvania. At last time we looked at this, we were in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. And so we're going to continue from Jennerstown, headed east. And one of the first things we would come to just a few miles out of Jennerstown is this little village here, which is called Jenner's Crossroads. This is a real photo postcard, as you can see. And you can see that it consists mainly of just some homes, and there's some farms along the roadway here. It's not a highly populated area. And as we continue on, we have another view here. This is the Lincoln Highway between Jennerstown and Stoystown, PA. Stoystown is one of the next towns that we're going to be coming to. Here you can see this is an older white border card, and you can see the antique vehicle here on the road. And you can even see that the highway is pretty much just a dirt road at this point in time. This would be in the early 20s. Continuing on, as we come closer to Stoystown, we encounter this building. This is the trading post. It was originally called the Cumahoning Trading Post. It is a few miles east of Jennerstown. We're not yet into Stoystown. And again, this building still exists today, but it is something different than it used to be, as most buildings are. And then we come into Stoystown. One of the things we would come across is the Colonial Inn. Here it says that at this time, again in the 1920s, it was the oldest building in Somerset County. And these kind of places were pretty frequent along the Lincoln Highway as places for travelers to stop in and rest, get a meal, have a place to stay overnight, get cleaned up before they continue on their travels. Here is another inn type place in Stoystown. This is the Custer House. And again, it's basically a hotel. Here you can see a horse-drawn wagon out front. And yet another place in Stoystown. For a small town, they had a lot of hotels. This is the Height House. And again, you can see the antique automobiles parked outside. So there were a lot of opportunities in Stoystown for travelers to find a place to rest. Here is a view on Main Street in Stoystown, and no doubt some of the buildings flanking the road were hotels. But you can see it's an old dirt type street. Some little children way down here. See if I can zoom in a little bit. You see the children there, some people off to the left. And there's a banner there across the street. I can't really make out what that says, but something going on there in Stoystown. This would be early 1900s, this view. Still in Stoystown, this is a view of U.S. Army trucks on the Lincoln Highway. The Lincoln Highway was a good route for the U.S. military to travel back and forth. I have several different postcards of military trucks on the Lincoln Highway. This is one of them. Again, we're looking at a white border view in probably in the late teens or early 20s. Here is a more modern view, a Chrome era view looking from Stoystown back westward, I believe, on the Lincoln Highway. You can see some older cars here, an old truck coming up the road. And as we continue on, as we start to head out of Stoystown, we are going to encounter some roadside places. This is the Emerald Park. They had cabins, as you can see on the sign here. Heated cabins, beer, and it says good. It's a good restaurant as opposed to a bad one. So there's a good restaurant, and there's Sinclair gasoline to be had. There's a nice Coca-Cola sign. And here you can see the small cabins or cottages as something that was pretty frequent along the road in those days. So you could have your own individual cabin. You didn't have to share that with anybody. So you had a certain level of privacy there. As we continue on out of Stoystown, we come into a little town called Cantner, Pennsylvania. And here is a view of C. Marks. Again, like a hotel establishment. Zooming in a little bit, you can see that there's the post office in Cantner. And here we have rooms and a bath available. Ice cold pop, restaurant, AAA approved. And so over here we have a Tidal sign for gas. So another place for travelers to stop. And right beside this, you can see over here, I have another card that's just to the left of this building. You see a day and night service station. This is Berkable and Shank Highway Garage. They do automobile repairing. They have gas pumps, as you can see here. Mobile gas, Kendall Oil, Atlantic Motor Oil. You see all the signage here. Standard gasoline, and here is a bridge in the background. So there are two side-by-side views. Here's the hotel and the garage right next door. These are the only cards that I believe that I have in my possession of Cantner, so I think views in Cantner are fairly rare. But moving on, continuing on the Lincoln Highway, we see the Williamson Homestead on the Lincoln Highway in Buckstown, Pennsylvania. We are now started on what is known as the famous 7-mile stretch. A 7-mile stretch of highway straight as an arrow, and you can pretty much see from one end to the other. Here is a view in Buckstown again, a real photo view. You can see some an old automobile here, but if you look off in the distance, the road just continues straight to the horizon where you can't see any further. This is a pretty famous view on the Lincoln Highway. There are many, many, many different postcards, versions of this looking in different directions at different spots along the way. And I could probably do an entire segment with just postcards from the 7-mile stretch. But I'm not going to do that. I want to mix it up a little bit. But this is a nice view along there. And if you refer back to my thumbnail for this video, that is also a view along the 7-mile stretch. So along those 7 miles, of course, there's some other attractions that we will be looking at as we move along here. Another thing that can be seen along that 7-mile stretch is Camp Allegheny. This is a kind of a summer camp for kids, and it is found just off the Lincoln Highway there on the 7-mile stretch. I'm looking for the card to see if I can get you any other information about that. And no, I can't. But it's, as you can see, it's a summer type camp. They have cottages there. Here's a group of kids or people going in for, I'm not sure what, but here they're having a campfire, maybe a sing-along, that kind of thing. And I believe this camp was in operation up until not too long ago. But I don't think it's open anymore. If somebody knows better, please correct me. As we continue on past Camp Allegheny, we would come to a small little spot on the road called Reel's Corners. And this is a view looking west, in other words, back in the direction from which we came. And as you see, we're still on that 7-mile stretch of straight highway, and the road disappears back in that direction to the horizon again. And here we have a 4-way intersection, and we have a Sinclair gas on this station. Can't see the building itself, but there's the pumps. And over on this side, we see Gulf gas, so plenty of places here to gas up. As we're getting near or ready to reach Bald Mountain Summit, and then we'll be dropping down over to where the famous Ship Hotel is located. We're not going to get to the Ship Hotel in this video. I'm going to save that for next time because I'm going to do an entire video just on the Ship Hotel itself. As we continue on, here is a view looking east. So we basically just stood in the middle of the road and turned around and looked in the other direction. And this is the way we're headed. We're going to continue on this way as we're going to drop over the peak here. Again, you can see Gulf. I believe this Gulf station over here is the same one that we see to the left here. Now we see it on the right as we continue straight ahead. Here is another roadside attraction. This is the Mountain View Park. Again, a place to stop and eat and get gas. And they also have cabins here and a restaurant. You can see the old automobiles parked out front. There's a Pennzoil sign up there, Kendall Oil, gas pumps, old cars. Nice big sign up here. And then we come to Minnick's Place at the top of Bald Knob Mountain. They also a roadside stop here. They have Tidal gas. And you can see in the back of the building here, there's little cabins back here where you can stay. It says cabins, camping. Now, we are 20 miles west of Bedford, Pennsylvania at this place. And as we look at these, we're going to see some evolution of this roadside stop here. It later became this. And I don't know, we're in the exact same spot here because you can see the cabins back here. And in this view here, the same cabins are back here. I know this place burnt down, but I'm not sure which version of it burnt down. I don't know if this building burnt and was replaced by this, or if this building that we're looking at now burnt. I know it's no longer there, and but I'm not sure of the timeline of these two buildings here. Here is another view of the same place, Minnick's Place, looking the other direction. Again, this is the front of the building. This is the front of the building, so we're just looking at it from opposite sides. Here you can get a little bit better view. There's a little bit more going on. We see gas pumps again. It says Esso Station. There's the gas pumps, Tidal, Esseline, hotel, restaurant. There's some people outside. You can see in the window it says sandwiches, meals. And at the top of the building, it says elevation 2,906 feet. That is the highest point along the Lincoln Highway in Pennsylvania. And it'll be, as I said, just before we drop down the other side and encounter the famous Ship Hotel. So there are several different views of Minnick's Place. I have several others, but I didn't want to overdo it with that one. And as we reach the end of the road here, not the end of the road, but before we drop down the other side, we see Topper's Restaurant and Campground at the Grandview Summit. So we're still at the summit. We haven't dropped down the other side. We're now 18.5 miles west of Bedford. I don't think this place exists. So this building could possibly be here, but of course it doesn't exist as a restaurant anymore. And the last view we have before we drop down over that Bald Knob Summit, sticky tongue, is a view of the Lincoln Highway just at the top of Grandview Summit. We are looking, I believe we're looking back westward from which we came here. And this I believe there's a sign over here. And we're looking at the back of it that says Bald Knob Summit, and it gives the elevation there. I probably have a card of that somewhere, but I didn't think to put it in here. So that's about 23 more views as we've traveled from Jennerstown, PA to just before the Ship Hotel. And when we pick Lincoln Highway up next time, we are going to take an exclusive look at the Ship Hotel. And if you are interested in the Lincoln Highway, I have a suggestion for you. If you are enjoying our trip along the highway, I would encourage you to look into this book. This is the Pennsylvania Traveler's Guide to the Lincoln Highway. This book is jam-packed with information about the Lincoln Highway. The book is written by Brian Butko. It came out in 1996, and it's a very comprehensive mile-by-mile view. Brian takes us from Trenton, New Jersey to East Liverpool, Ohio, encompassing the entire route of the highway through Pennsylvania. He's moving in the opposite direction that I'm moving, but he's covering the same things and in much more detail. The book is packed with photographs and illustrations, and he really gets into great detail about the things that used to be along the road and what you would encounter on your travels there. So if the Lincoln Highway interests you, I recommend this book. And I'd like to mention that among some of the postcards, many postcards are featured in this book, but some of them are now in my collection. They aren't attributed to me, but I purchased a collection some years ago of a well-known Lincoln Highway collector. And so some of the postcards in this book I've actually shown you and are now in my collection. So if you have an interest, this is a great read. I recommend it highly.